Thanks everyone, this is Brother Ravana back once again, and today we will be discussing the 11 Luciferian points of power. And how does this apply to you as an individual? First point is Lucifer represents the light. The light is symbolic of the intellect. We have to get away from the religious interpretation of what light is. Light is, in religion, it's the golden light, it's the healing light, it's the light of life, the light of transformation. Bullshit. Light is simply intellect. Intellect, the spark of intellect, the electromagnetic or the electrical impulses received through the neurons in the brain. It's intellect that shines in the darkness. So Lucifer, not some religious interpretation of Lucifer as Satan or the devil or Azazel. All of these are attributes and all of them have a different meaning. Lucifer simply comes from the Latin lux, and then cipher means light bearer, bringing the light of intellect. So as an archetype, Lucifer can literally be numerous archetypes who have that same definition of bringing light, knowledge, wisdom, or understanding to humanity. Tahuti would be considered a Lucifer. Prometheus would be considered a Lucifer, a light bearer, bringing intellect, bringing wisdom and power to humanity. Set or Satuh would be a light bearer. It depends on who you flow with and what you flow with. So Lucifer can be a general term for ancient archetypes or more modern archetypes that deal with bringing knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to humanity. Lucifer would be considered the adversary. So Lucifer is the symbol of the adversary, is that of the self-liberator and spiritual rebel who inspires self-evolution. Why are many people seeking self-liberation? That is because people have gotten fed up with programming, conditioning, society programming, society conditioning, family programming, family conditioning, religious programming, religious conditioning. That is serving only one purpose: to enslave you mentally, to make you a mental slave, a follower, and a sheep for those who have some illusion of power, to be their slaves and their servants. So as a symbol of an adversary, being Lucifer is against God or against ignorance. Many will interpret God as being the almighty, the all-powerful, the all-intelligent. But really, if you look at it, God was the ignorant because God was refusing in the Bible to give knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to humanity and wanted to keep them a slave. Lucifer wanted to bring the truth to humanity and say, listen, when you receive this truth, you will be just like the gods. You'll be just like them. There will be no difference. That process is a process of liberating yourself from the conditioning and programming of all religions, all spiritual traditions that have a conformist mentality, and is a part of an awakening process to self-evolution. The third point of power, of the Luciferian points of power, Lucifer represents the balanced torch bearer of Venus, the light bringer as the morning star and the night bringer as the evening star. Now, I wouldn't use the term balance because when you really look at balance, balance is stagnation. When you look at the scales, they're evenly balanced. There's no movement there. That's stagnation. Whenever there's stagnation, there's no growth in your life. This is why chaos is always essential to your growth, and this is why chaos will always come into your life. When there's too much stagnation, chaos will come to bust that crap wide open and cause a change in your life. That's chaos, and that's what's necessary. Too much balance, and you're stagnated. So I like to use the term that Lucifer represents the harmony between light, the intellect, and darkness, the power. Without the light of intellect, you don't really understand or know how to use the power of darkness. So you can easily be consumed by darkness because your intellect has not risen to such a level that it allows you to utilize the power of darkness where you become a master of darkness. So Lucifer represents that harmony between the two. The fourth point of power is the adversary symbolizes the spark of consciousness which questions everything, manifesting the individualistic path with accountability only to the self. Now, this point of power, number 4, is one of the most important. The adversary symbolizes the spark of consciousness which questions everything, manifesting the individualistic path with the accountability only to the self. Now, when you begin your journey of true growth and transformation, you start to question everything. You question your role in life. You question yourself as far as your potential. Have you reached it? Have you not? You question yourself upon your weaknesses and your strengths. You question yourself about everything. You don't just question the world that we live in and the racism and the so-called white supremacy and the so-called ignorant mentality of suppression and oppression. You don't just question that. You start to understand it and see that that's a game utilized to keep the ignorant more ignorant and to keep the weak weak. When you question it, you start to realize that I, as an individual, have given myself over to the illusory concept of white supremacy. Did I say it existed or not? No. What I'm saying is that we've given into the illusory concept that white supremacy is what is affecting your life. Partly. You are affecting your life because you're the intellect, the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that's responsible for every action in your life. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to take responsibility or not, you are the one who created your life. Yes, there's circumstances as white supremacy that why I call it illusory is because you gave them the power of saying white people are more supreme to me, or their mentality or ideology of being more supreme to me is what keeps me oppressed. You keep yourself oppressed. You feed that power of illusion, and thus you use it as an excuse to control you and harm you and affect you. How do I know this? Because I also did the same thing. There was many years where I had that mentality that white supremacy and racism and all these things are destroying me. No. I was destroying myself, for one, for even allowing that thought to creep in my head, for two, to giving life to it, and for three, letting it hold me and control me. We are accountable only to ourselves, meaning you take responsibility for all your actions. You take responsibility for your weaknesses and your strengths, for your success and your failures. You are responsible for your actions. You created your circumstances, not some supremacy, not some racism, not some bullcrap. Now, you could say I'm justifying or you're cooning bullcrap. Let me tell you, I experienced every part of this on my 46 years of life. I've been brutalized by police. I've been racially profiled as a Puerto Rican individual. Regardless what people think, most Caucasians will look at us as being other than white. They look at us as being black. They look at us as being Spanish black. They look at us as being some mixed mongrel. They look at us as being everything and anything. So they do associate us with a different race in their mentality. Many of them do that. I've experienced that to the extreme. I've experienced being pro-black, or as you would say, I've experienced existing in life, being angry at the world, being angry at Caucasians, being angry at their stupidity. Listen, how the hell am I going to be angry at my dog for taking a shit in my lawn when that's what a dog does? They shit in your lawn. So that's like me getting angry at some nature of the dog to do this and be totally angry and controlled by that when that's their nature. When you get the power of wisdom and intellect, you don't let that affect you because you realize this may be some of their nature, and that is how some of them really act. And so thus, how the hell am I going to get mad for a dog being a dog? Get that truth, and you really will empower yourself. Now, as Dr. Delbert Blair said, the biggest weakness that holds back melanated people is the race of racism. They really give their life over to that illusory concept, and in the process they lose themselves in the power and the strength of who they are. Next, number 5. The fall of Lucifer, or Satan, symbolizes the liberation of the mind from the slave mentality. See, our melanated people are some of the most religious fools on this planet. The most religious fools on this planet. Because we really associate Lucifer, or the Satan, as being the symbol of oppression, the symbol of hatred, the symbol of evil, the symbol of wrong. Well, if you really closely look at your Bible, the slave mentality began with the creation of humanity by a so-called God. God made you a slave. In one of the stories in Genesis chapter 2, it says that to Eve and to Adam, don't eat from the tree of knowledge or the tree of good and evil in the center of the garden. Why can I not eat of it? What are you afraid of, God? Are you afraid that if I eat of it, I'm going to become powerful and more intelligent and have self-control and self-rule over me? And that eliminates your potential to control me? Well, see, this is what religion does still to this day. Because we will look at Satan or the Lucifer as so evil and wrong, but don't even look at your Bible close enough to see that the real treacherous being in your religious story or stories is God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah. Whatever name floats your boat in the Bible and Quran to make you feel so special, so great, so superior, get over it. You are a slave. You will always be a slave. And in Islam, they even use it, Abdullah or Abdullah, servant or slave of Allah. I am not a servant or slave to anybody. I am a God over myself. Not no spooky God floating around, sitting in some throne, pointing, yes, good, bad, no, hell, destruction, flood you, burn you. That sounds like a pious God. That sounds like a lovely God. Bullshit. Let me explain to you. I'm a master over myself because I master my weaknesses. I take those weaknesses and I take inventory of those weaknesses and I address those weaknesses, and I take those weaknesses and I find a way to make them into a strength. I take my strengths and make them even stronger. I take responsibility for everything I've done and will do, and blame no one but myself for any consequences or failures that may come out of it. So, the fall of Lucifer symbolized the liberation of the mind from the slave mentality and the courage to explore and master your own darkness within. Now, this is so crucial for individuals seeking any form of so-called consciousness. I hear these conscious idiots constantly talking about, oh, the light is the power and the strength, and, we have to grow, and we have to love, and we have to care. We have to be so divine. We have to be beautiful. Listen, you sound like a religious fool who just stepped out of religion and still holding on to religious concepts and mentality, but you're still controlled. Cut it out. Okay? Cut it out. The real reality is you have to face your darkness. You have to go into your subconscious mind, to your abyss, to the deepest part of yourself, and you have to find your pain, your wound, your trauma, your issues, your most perverted part of yourself, your most rageful part, your most angry part, your most disgusting part, and you have to address it. You have to confront it. You have to be strong enough to master that part of yourself. You can't sit there and lie to yourself and say, I'm just going to meditate and be in the light and love the light, and the loving light is going to make it all go away. Bullshit. Why is it bullshit? Let me explain to you. Look at the life. Look at nature and look at the universe. What is more abundant, light or darkness? Darkness. Darkness, I say this every time, almost every video. Darkness is about 93% of the universe is dark matter, dark energy. Only 7% is light. What is more abundant? Darkness. Light will go out. The light that you all have been trained to accept to be truth is the light. This light of illusion called the sun that only has probably a couple million more years to live here, to exist on this planet, or around this planet, I should say, in the solar system, only has 2 million more years. When that burns out, that's it. Goodbye, bye-bye, bye-bye humanity and everything else. But the darkness will still be there, giving birth to more stars, more suns, more moons, more things of that nature. The darkness will still be superior. So cut this light of stupidity out, okay? You have to be able to go into that darkness. Now, one may not offer the illumination of the morning star without the wisdom of the darkness within, meaning your intellect cannot really bring forth wisdom until you understand your darkness within. You have to go into that darkness and take inventory of every part of you and not be afraid of it. And then you have to be able to confront it. Then you have to be able to take it and utilize it in a way where that darkness, that deep-seated crap of yourself no longer affects you, but can be actually utilized for your growth, for your power, for your strength, for your benefit. It has to be. So, this is the reality. Okay? You have to really address this part of yourself. Number 6, the adversary represents rebellion with purpose. We rebel against the established norm. We rebel against establishment. We rebel against control. We rebel against programming and conditioning. We rebel against oppression. We rebel against inferiority. We rebel against all these things that have held us back as humanity, and we utilize our wisdom, our strength, and our power. We gain more wisdom, which gives us more strength, which leads to more power over ourselves and power to determine our own lives. Number 7, Lucifer represents the courage and fortitude to acquire healthy self-love, leading to the responsibility of honoring your temple of mind, body, and spirit. Let me say this again because this is also one of the most important points of power. Lucifer, the light bearer, intellect, represents the courage and fortitude to acquire healthy self-love, meaning you love yourself, not delusional self-love, not extreme, crazy, twisted form of superficial self-love, but true self-love, leading to the responsibility. Now, when you get to self-love, it doesn't just mean I love myself and I'm so wonderful and yada, yada, yada. It's not what it means. It means that you're now responsible for protecting, honoring, and preserving your temple of mind, body, and spirit. This is important. So, you honor your body by eating healthy. Now, I'm not going to go into a dissertation or thesis on what is the best diet, what diet, because that's a personal choice. And there's so much scientific evidence that proves that not any one diet is better than the other. It's personal choice. It deals with your genetics, your blood, your background. A lot of that comes into play. So you have to do the research to find what's the best diet for you. But you need a proper diet. You have to take care of this body. You get the right herbs to supplement parts of what you're missing or lacking in. You have to really take total control of your diet and your exercise. You have to be more active. You should be active at least 30 minutes to an hour each day, every day. The more you do, the merrier. But you should be active. Don't just sit there and make an excuse that I'm such and I have this illness and all this will always be the bullshit. That's just being lazy and making an excuse for your laziness. Get busy. Challenge yourself to improve your body. Improve your mind. Study. Research. Apply what you've learned. And see what's beneficial for you and what isn't. And you have to be responsible for your spirit. So, you are responsible for yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And you have to honor your temple of mind, body, and spirit as if it is a temple. Number 8, to become your own God, you must have the wisdom and strength to govern and guide your life. That is so crucial. Let me repeat that. To become your own God, you must have the wisdom and strength to govern and guide your life, as if your mind is to survive beyond the mortal body. Meaning you must strengthen your mind. You must get as much knowledge, which leads to wisdom and power. Okay? That gives you the ability to govern and guide your life. You are governing and guiding your life, not the school system, not religion, not your family, not friends, not whoever. You govern your own life. So you have to have the wisdom and strength to govern your own life, to control your own life. Okay? You have to strengthen your mind. You have to become as wise as possible that it can translate to another level. So, number 9, key point: indulgence with restraint, love for the deserving and disdain for the undeserving. This is key. We as people on the left-hand path, whether it's Luciferian, whether it's Setians, whatever, we indulge in life. We indulge in the things that we enjoy about life. We indulge in what would be considered taboo, not things that are illegal and will hem you up in a legal situation. But we indulge in things within due bounds and never try to hem ourselves up illegally and put ourselves in a situation that's affecting us legally. But we indulge. We indulge in the delicacies of what we choose to enjoy. But we do it with restraint because our willpower gets stronger through the knowledge, through the wisdom. You understand? You have to have some strong willpower. Through the work, you should have increased your willpower to be able to indulge, but you have restraint. The restraint comes in like, I'm not just going to be freestyling, buck wilding, and sexing anything and everything around. You're going to have restraint and have selective choices that you make. You're going to be selective in who or what you decide to engage in sexual activity with. You're going to be selective into what you decide to indulge in. If I want to eat a certain food, I'm going to be selective with restraint. I'm not going to gorge and go overboard where I get sick and disgusting, but I'll indulge in it, but I'll have some level of restraint where I moderate it. Not going stupidly crazy and then, want to blame the world for it. You have no one to blame for getting sick if you overgorge on food when you should have restraint. So indulgence is very important to those on the left-hand path, to Setians, to Luciferians, but we understand it. We have true will over ourselves to control that. So we will enjoy. We're going to enjoy with some level of restraint. We're not just going to gorge and have debauchery and excessive giving into our lust. You can give into your lust, but you have control over that lust. So you decide when, where, how you decide to do things. But you're not afraid to do things. So, to continue. You also have love for the deserving. You give love to those who deserve it, and you basically say, screw those who don't deserve it. You got to really understand the difference, and your life experiences will teach you the difference between the two. Everybody does not deserve love just because they're a person. Okay? You have to cut the line and draw the line somewhere and decide to divide it and say, no, this person is deserving and this person don't get crap. That's just reality. You can't just lie to yourself like that. That's reality. Number 10. Lucifer represents the insight that every act, no matter if perceived as selfless, is at its core a selfish act. Let me say that again. Lucifer represents the insight that every act, no matter if perceived as selfless, is at its core really a selfish act. Even if helping others is your passion, the brain still receives a chemical reward triggered by the act. Therefore, many consider that doing good deeds in society may bring you closer to God. However, recognize you are still selfish. Then you will see this act. In fact, while you're doing this act, you will see it for what it is. It's a selfish act that I'm doing this because I want some form of profit from really helping somebody. Or it makes me feel better about myself because I help somebody, because I have low self-loathing issues or low, so I feel better about myself when I do that. So, so you got to understand this now. You are being selfish, regardless of what you think. Whether I want to be nice and sweet and help humanity and help people, you're still wanting some form of reward from that, or you are giving yourself a reward. It's still a selfish act. Recognize you are selfish, then see this fact in all others. Observe it in others. And accept this, and then with this knowledge, make choices that will benefit not only yourself, but your loved ones when possible. So that means you're going to do an act. There's going to be a selfish part of yourself that's going to want to benefit from it, but you're also doing it to benefit somebody else, not just yourself. That's reality. You accept that. You're not delusional about it. You good. But so understand that. You understand the choices you make and how the consequences work from that. Lastly, point number 11. To become a god is to fully understand that you possess the power to create and sustain your path in life and illuminate the light of self-determined potential. So to become a god is to fully understand that you possess the power to create and sustain your life. But there's also one key part I'd like to add to this. You also have the power to destroy your life. See, when you get the key, you're given the key of intellect, given the key of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which leads to power. You now have the power, the key to turn your life to either create something, sustain you, or to destroy you. You have that power. You understand this? You're the only one that has that power to do it over your life. Unless you give that key to somebody else, then you become a slave again. And the purpose of this, the purpose of these videos that I make, the purpose of the classes that we do the first and third Thursday of the month, Awakening Universal Minds on TalkShoe.com, first Thursday and third Thursday of the month at 9 p.m., is to give you insight on how to regain your key to control your life, to create in your life and to sustain. But also you may have to destroy certain parts of your life, or there may be destruction. Okay? You have that key. Once you learn how to create or destroy what is necessary in your life, then you will illuminate the intellect of self-determined potential. You will illuminate the potential of yourself, the strengths of yourself and the weaknesses that you can utilize, overcome, or grow from. Meaning you can take those weaknesses, really go into them, really do an in-depth reflection on them, really go and do an in-depth meditation on them, how they affect your life, control your life, how they've been affecting you, and learn to master those weaknesses. Learn to utilize how some of those weaknesses can become strengths. And see how that, when it's done, can lead to more potential for your life, more growth and potential for your life. See, you're responsible for all this. Nobody else is. You understand? You're responsible. You control all this aspect of your life. You the God over your life. So this is why I utilize this, and this is why I state this, because, so you got to understand now, you the master over your life. Ain't no master but you over your life. And when you realize that truth, there's no more excuses, homeboy. There's no more excuses, homegirl. You the master. You understand? It's not an illusion of mastery, and it's not, oh, I'm the God, and you're saying it because you're original and you're so melanated and you're so this. Bullcrap. You understand what it really means to be a God. A God takes responsibility for all their ways and actions. A God takes responsibility for their growth. A God takes responsibility for their temple, their mind, their spirit. A God takes responsibility for their actions. A God takes responsibility for their failures and successes. A God takes responsibility for every part of their life, and there is no external God that we worship. You are the only God. Not that another person can't be a God, but you don't worship them. You respect them, and you see the power of their God, and you see the power of your God inside of you, and their power of God there. But you don't worship them. You don't worship any external things. You don't grovel and bow down to gods and orishas and neturu and inkissis and and loas and anything external. You don't bow and worship to. You're the only God. You created the gods. You created the concept of God. You created the archetypes and the symbolism and the attributes of God. So how can you bow down to something you created? Humanity, through a collective unconscious, created these so-called gods and goddesses and archetypes. You the master. Your mind is so powerful that can really take and create a image of, let's say, Damballa, the law of voodoo, as if it's real. You can really actually create this image as if it's real because your subconscious is connected to your true self. Some call it the higher self, but I'm trying to get away from these so extreme religious concepts. Your true self utilizes the subconscious mind to share and communicate messages with through dreams and symbols, because your conscious mind is distracted, or it decides to be obnoxious and not listen to that. So it comes through the subconscious mind to realize the messages, and your true self can utilize and create an image of Damballa because it understands your level of knowledge needs to see a so-called God. But that God is not real. You're the only God, and you create it, and you give life to these gods by accepting it. You're the true God. You control your life. You're the God. You are the controller of everything. So stop the groveling, stop the worshiping. This is what has our melanated people in the situation that they're in. this is what has people in the situation they're in, because you're constantly groveling and worshiping and praying and giving life to anything and everything that is not really real, and giving control to things that are not really real, giving power to things that are not really real. You are the master. You control your life. This is where our melanated people are lacking in. We're superstitious and we're super religious, and we want to believe in something always outside ourselves is going to help us, come rescue us, take us to a planet, take us to the mothership. Take us to risk, take us on some mothership. This is the ignorance that our people are under, and we wholeheartedly believe this crap. We believe these fools and what they say. That's why we can never get ahead. You have to become the God of yourself. You have to be the master, take control of your life in every way, form, or fashion. So when it comes to utilizing these points of power and utilizing sorcery, you have to understand your desire, your intent. When you understand these points of power, you understand that your desire, intent, your passion, your mind is what's responsible for when you do sorcery for getting a result or not. If you're effed up mentally, you have a lot of issues, you don't go into that darkness, your results are going to come out skewed many times. You have to deal with those issues when you really start working sorcery, because you're going to get results that are very detrimental sometimes. You have to deal with these things. If you're dealing with necromancy, you have to prepare yourself, because the spirits are tricksters. Some of them are tricksters. They can utilize your weaknesses against you to control you instead of you controlling the spirit. So you have to be wise. You have to have done a lot of work on this path. You the master, you the God. If you work with spirits and necromancy, you the one that command the spirits. You the one that give them tasks and jobs to do. You don't take crap from nothing. You don't bow to them. You don't worship them, because they were once living beings just like you. So they have no more power than you do. The only power they have is that they affect things on the spiritual realm, not on the physical as much as we like to think. They can interact here, but they affect things more in the spiritual that can translate into the physical. You the master. I keep reiterating that, because unless we really understand that, you're always going to be a person that is controlled. It's always going to lead you to a level of being controlled if you don't understand these points of power and apply them to your life. This is why it's essential to really meditate on these points of power and apply them to yourself, and see where you are in these points of power. See what you need to work on, and see what you already have together. Because when you go forth working this, you're going to really understand your life even more, and understand how you affect life, and how your subjective realm can create results in the objective world and change your objective world. You won't attract the idiots in your life. You won't attract the fools in your life like you do now, because you've taken care of the issues within you that were attracting them in the first place. So there's no need for them to be around you. There's no need for them to want to be absorbing your energy of misery and weakness and self-loathing, because you already mastered that part of yourself. So those kind of people cannot be around you. They will not even exist in your life anymore. You shifted your mentality, which means the subjective realm shifted the objective realm, and that's not even a part of your life anymore. You got to be the master of that. You have to control these things. If you're not able to and you keep groveling, making excuses, you're always going to be a slave. Now, I'm sorry, but these videos are intended to wake you up from being a slave. And it may hurt you and it may bother you and it may upset you. I personally don't give a damn. I'm happy it bothers you and hurts you and upsets you because it's making you question things about yourself, question things you believe, question the way you run your life. That's why these videos are necessary. Myself, Brother Beniti on Mother Nubia Inc., his page on YouTube, Mother Nubia Inc., we do this because we see that it is essential, especially for melanated people who have been lacking some of this knowledge. It's essential for you to have this knowledge. And it may throw you off because you're so afraid of Satan and Lucifer and all these religious concepts and how they control you by accepting what these concepts are. But you stay afraid and you stay away. Let me tell you something I learned before I close this video. The very things that society, that religion, and your family tell you to stay away from is sometimes the very things you need because the truth is in there that you've been needing and lacking in your life. So to keep that into account and meditate on that. I may make another video later today, depending how I feel on necromancy. If not, I will do it next week. But hope you guys really understand this. Share this video. Hit like if you like. If you don't, hit unlike. I really don't care. I'm making these videos for those who are seeking this information to apply it into their life. Work it. Work this. Don't just read it. Don't just study it. Don't just listen. Work it and apply it in your life. You'll see some results and changes. So I'm going to close it off. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach me at darkoccultist99@outlook.com. You can find me on Google Plus at darkoccultist99. And my YouTube page is darkoccultist99. Hit me up there.